What is going on, everybody? What is going on, the Catch fam? My name is John Dawson, and in today's video, we are conducting a 2022 fantasy football mock draft through the Yahoo website. If you guys do enjoy today's content, be sure to hit that like button down below. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Come join the Catch family. We put out free daily fantasy content, and at the moment, we are running a free subscriber mock draft almost every single night. Make sure to join our Discord down below to get updates on when we are drafting. We would love to have you come out and draft with us, and make sure to drop any comments, questions, concerns pertaining to the 2022 fantasy football season down below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. In today's mock draft, we are selecting at 1.4 overall. This is a full PPR mock draft, and I do like drafting through the Yahoo website, but I will be conducting several different mock drafts throughout the offseason through different platforms such as ESPN, the NFL website, Fantasy Pros, etc. But like I said, at the end of the day, the most realistic mock drafts that we get here at the channel are going to be those subscriber mock drafts that stay competitive through the entire end of the draft, through every single round. So make sure, if you guys want to join those, that you guys come join the channel. Love to have you guys in the future. And without further ado, we are kicking off this mock draft in about 1 second. We've got my guy Devin at 1.1 goes JT. And let's just go ahead and pull up the draft board and see what happened. So Dalvin Cook goes at 1.2, a little bit early in comparison to a lot of drafts we've been running. Eckler goes at 1.3. Let's take a look here. I mean, Cooper Kupp hanging around, but for me at the moment, I'm definitely leaning towards going running back in the first round. The two guys that stand out to me are definitely Najee Harris and Derrick Henry. I'll go ahead and I'll take Derrick Henry. I've still got him ranked just slightly ahead of Najee Harris in my personal rankings overall. So I'll go Derrick Henry. And what we're going to be doing in terms of a draft strategy throughout this draft is just balancing between the running back and the receiver position, keeping an eye on the tight end tiers that we're comfortable with, as well as quarterback tiers, but ultimately going for the tight end position as well as the quarterback position a little bit later in this draft. Until then, just continuing to stack up at the running back and the receiver position to really build out an even teal roster at the end of the day. We've really been conducting this exact strategy on a pretty consistent basis, and it really does build really good fantasy teams in my mind. And like I said, very consistent teams from head to toe. So we're going to go ahead and go through with that strategy here, but I have been kind of switching up draft strategies lately, just trying to give you guys a lot of diversification in between rosters and strategies. But for the purpose of today's draft, we're going to go ahead and continue this specific strategy of what I call a bounce back strategy, going between the running back and the receiver position. Like I said, we're going to keep an eye on some certain tight end tiers as well as QB tiers, and just let a solid tight end one fall to us, a solid QB one fall to us. If a QB or tight end falls to us that we're not 1000% confident, then we're going to turn around, and in some later rounds, we're going to go for a second QB or a second tight end. Outside of that, like I said, second up at running back and receiver. Okay, so through the first round, after my selection of Derrick Henry, we saw Cooper Kupp go, CMC go, JJ go, Najee Harris is gone, Joe Mixon's gone, Devontae Adams, DeAndre Swift, and Nick Chubb to finish out the first round. Jamar Chase somehow fell to 2.1, a really nice value there. Then we saw Fournette, Aaron Jones, CeeDee Lamb, Stephon Diggs, followed by Alvin Kamara and Javonte Williams off the board. We've got one selection here, and then I'm going to just take the top receiver in my eyes off the board. So Saquon Barkley goes here. So let's take a look at receiver. Man, Travis Kelce is just really tempting here. I mean, extremely tempting to go, but I want to follow suit with my strategy. But gosh, guys, I'm telling you right now, it's painful inside for me to not go with Kelce there. I'm going to take Tyreek Hill, but I'll make a couple comments here. I think that Hill and Debo are relatively close in terms of their boomer bust potential for the 2022 fantasy football season. And I think as we move closer to the season, we probably won't have Debo in that same tier. Mike Evans was available at that selection, as well as Keenan Allen. I think they both offer a ton of consistency at the position, so I wouldn't have minded either of those players. But personally, on my rankings, I've got Hill the highest out of those guys, although Debo, Mike Evans, and Keenan Allen very close. I'll go for a little bit of upside with Tyreek Hill with that selection. And overall, we did see those two top tight ends go. Travis Kelce right after my selection of Tyreek Hill. Like I said, really hard to pass up on Kelce. And then Mark Andrews to start the third round. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look at the running back position. For me, man, there's one player that stands out here. It's James Conner all day long. I mean, I'll take Conner in the third round. If you guys are, following the channel on a consistent basis, you guys know I'm all about going out and selecting James Conner. So I have no beef whatsoever with him being my RB2 and my third player off the board. And then into the fourth round, we will continue our strategy and take another receiver off the board. So a lot of good value there wiped out between the end of the second into the third. So like I said, we saw Kelce go, Mike Evans and Debo go. I mean, just really, really good value at the end of the second round here. I mean, we've seen Kelce go as early as pick 6 so far in the offseason. Mark Andrews goes to start the third round. AJ Brown off the clock as the second selection in the third round. Then a little bit of a run at the running back position. Zeke, James Conner, and Josh Jacobs. And our first QB of the day is taken in Josh Allen. T. Higgins, Keenan Allen, Michael Pittman all off the board, and Breece Hall selected, as we have two more selections here in the third round overall. So let's start to think about what receiver I want to target here in the fourth round. Let's just make sure we're looking, at this point, it probably won't hurt to go ahead and queue up this first kind of tight end tier. Or really, a way to do it is just queue up the tight ends that you like, and the specific order that you would draft them. So for me, I've kind of got them queued up here, right? Kyle Pitts, George Kittle, Darren Waller, Dallas Goedert, Dawson Knox, Hawkinson, Schultz, Ertz, Gesicki, Henry, and Freiermuth. I mean, that's kind of loose overall, but I'll have them queued up. Just keep an eye on them, right? So realistically here, as we have quite a few selections until we draft again, we know we're going for the receiver position. And realistically, I would be really happy to land a DK Metcalf, Deontay Johnson. I mean, DJ Moore, Jalen Waller, Scary Terry, any of these guys available, I would kind of have them as the top overall tier here. So I'm just going to keep an eye, because it's a little too early to kind of queue any of them up. There's going to be a lot of selections here, and we just want to kind of sit back for a second and see what happens here. So to end out the third round, we've got Breece Hall off the board and David Montgomery, and now Darren Waller, followed by our second QB of the draft in Patrick Mahomes. So once again, lots of good value starting to go. I'm not panicking at tight end at all yet. And the other thing is, right, that we've talked about within conducting this strategy is that, let's say we're moving into the fifth round or into the sixth round, and a guy like George Kittle is still sitting around. Well, at that point, we're going to revert away from staying true to this strategy, bouncing between running back and receiver. There just comes a point, like, even if we get into the fifth round and Kyle Pitts is still available, there just comes a point where you just can't pass up on a player. Even if you're trying to stay true to a strategy, don't hurt your roster by passing up on a player of too high of a caliber. And you could argue that I did that in this draft, going Tyreek Hill over Travis Kelce. It was really, really close to going Kelce there. And, I think it would have strayed away maybe a little bit too much from the strategy, but gosh, I mean, that's a perfect example, right? You could argue that in the long run, the better option for this roster was to go Kelce. So I'm going to go Metcalf here. I still have a lot of faith in Metcalf as a whole at the wide receiver position, and I'm happy to take him as a wide receiver 2 on this team. He does have the same bye week as Tyreek Hill, so that might be an issue later on. But hopefully in those later rounds, we'll hit on some really nice receivers to help, add some depth to the position. And definitely have to stay away from week 11 bye weeks. All right, approaching the end of the fourth round, J.K. Dobbins off of the board. If you guys are enjoying the video today, man, make sure you guys hit that like button down below. Really does help us out. And of course, if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, baby. Come join the Catch family. We want to help you guys dominate your fantasy football leagues in the 2022 fantasy football season. All right, finishing out the fourth round, we got Kyle Pitts off the board, Eli Mitchell off the board, DJ Moore, and Scary Terry. So following suit with this strategy, I mean, I know I just said that passing up on George Kittle in the fifth is going to be really hard. Let's just take a look at what running backs are available. It's close, man. I mean, I really like AJ Dillon as an RB3. I really like him as an RB3, and I really like Kittle. I'm going to go AJ Dillon because I just think this next tier of running backs is going to dry up too quickly. I don't think Kittle is going to last by any means, but I'm really comfortable with a Dawson Knox or a Dallas Goedert 1 or 2 rounds later. And then Kyler Murray going right after our selection of A.J. Dillon and George Kittle off the board. And like I said, I mean, I don't think this is going to hurt our roster ultimately, but I mean, Kittle just a beautiful, beautiful value in the 5th round overall. But I'm comfortable with, either a combination of Goddard and Knox or one of the other, maybe a later round guy like a Mike Gesicki or a Hunter Henry to kind of bolster out the position. Like I said at the beginning of the video, we don't hit on a tight end one that we're 1010% confident in, then it's okay to get a guy who maybe presents a little bit less upside, like a Goddard or Knox, who I personally, I mean, even if they're not as much upside as a George Kittle, I still love both of those guys, especially Knox in terms of upside. But then in later rounds, get a Zach Ertz, a Mike Gesicki, a Hunter Henry, who are guys that I think are just being undervalued. I still think are going to have top 10 seasons at the position, although a top 10 tight end, very, very different from a top 10 running back or receiver. But at the same time, they still present really good value. When you look at their rankings through Yahoo, you got Ertz at 113, Gesicki at 119, and Hunter Henry at 126. If I'm not mistaken, all those guys were in the top 10 last season, top 12 at worst. So I got no problem with taking those guys whatsoever. All right. Finishing out the 5th round here, we got Miles Sanders gone, Lamar Jackson's gone, Amari Cooper, Brandon Cooks, Jerry Jeudy, and Damian Harris off the board. Mike Williams starts the 6th round. I think that is a phenomenal value, landing Mike Williams at 6.1. All right, let's take a look here. I mean, so there also comes a point where we need to start keeping an eye on QB. And Burrow and Hurts are 2 guys who I have right in my QB rankings at QB6 and QB7. By the way, guys, we do have our full rankings. I split up my QB rankings into 4 videos, 1 through 5, and then moving forward 5 QBs in every single video. Check out the channel. You guys can find those videos pretty easily, right? So overall, I've got Burrow at 7. I've got Hurts at 6. But like I said in my rankings video, they're really tied for me overall. Like, Hurts more rushing upside. Burrow is going to get it done despite tossing the rock all over the place. So I really like both these guys are going to get it done either way. My point here is there also comes a point where we need to keep an eye at the QB position as well as the tight end position. So I'd like to land either of those guys. Burrow is the top rated player, right? So and he just got selected. So I'm leaning towards Hurts overall. And I think there's a chance I could land him in the 7th. And if I don't, then I'm okay. I can get a Matthew Stafford or a Russell Wilson. So let's take a look at receiver. We're due for a receiver. I mean, I like Hollywood Brown. I'm going to go Hollywood Brown here. I mean, Chris Godwin, although he's going to miss some time, wouldn't be a bad option. But I'll go Hollywood Brown here. 2 guys I want to keep an eye on, Hunter Renfrow and Devonta Smith. Those are kind of my mid-round gems, especially if we get Hurts. We can kind of, take that stack as well. So let's go ahead and just take a look here. So we've got a really good start to this roster. 3 running backs, 3 receivers. This is the point in the draft as Jalen Hurts is selected where I want to start to lean towards grabbing a tight end and or a quarterback. So overall, looking at QBs available, that tier that I really liked, right? Jalen Hurts available and Joe Burrow available, now gone, right? And now here's a good argument for this draft as well. Could have gone Hurts over Hollywood Brown, still landed a lot of different receivers that I like. So it's a perfectly fine argument. And I don't think I'm going to go QB. I think this tier we can hold off on. And I think we might be able to hold off at tight end too. But there's just not, I'm going to go tight end, and I'll tell you why. There's just not any running backs who would be due for following suit with this bounce back strategy who I think are worth the selection right now. Maybe a Tony Pollard. I mean, maybe Patterson, you could argue. And quite frankly, the running back position is just going to start drying up pretty quickly. So I'm going to get some of these later round, mid-round guys queued up that I like kind of in order. So Pollard, Carter, James Cook, Cordero Patterson, Alexander Madison, James Robinson, Darrell Henderson, J.D. McKissick. Then don't forget about some of those rookies. Dameon Pierce. I mean, I like Naheem Hines in terms of PPR upside. Let's see. Where is Tyler Algier? I'll leave all those guys queued up. I really like Algier and Dameon Pierce as later round selection. So for me, at this point, right, with Stafford, Russell Wilson, Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers hanging around, those are 5 QBs that I believe in moving into the 2022 fantasy football season. And it becomes a priority, especially with Dak Prescott just getting selected. Brady and Hurts both in the 7th round as well. It definitely becomes overall a priority for me to go in and select a QB, and that's why Matthew Stafford and Russell Wilson off the board. So retrospectively, looking at this strategy, right, probably the best thing to do would have been to go Jalen Hurts in the 6th round and even go tight end still with Dawson Knox in the 7th, and then be able to turn around. I mean, we look at the receiver position just year after year. This is what happens. It's so incredibly deep. There's so many players available right now that I would love to have behind a Metcalf and a Tyreek Hill, right? Hunter Renfrow, Devonta Smith, DeAndre Hopkins, Darnell Mooney, Gabriel Davis, Drake London, Russell Gage. Got tons of rookies in here as well. I mean, there's just so much depth. Christian Kirk, Michael Gallup, Tyler Boyd, Christian Watson, MBS, Rondell Moore, Sky Moore, Tim Patrick, just so many guys worth taking a shot on. I mean, just the receiver position in general is just so incredibly deep. I mean, think about this team, right? If we go over Hollywood Brown, if we go Jalen Hurts, right? We still land Dawson Knox. There's still a good chance that I can land Hunter Renfrow and Devonta Smith in the 8th and 9th round. But now I have to go QB, right? Like there's just a point now where I have got to land a quarterback, and it's Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, or Derek Carr. You guys just see the difference in upside. So that's why it's good to do these mock drafts, you know, to get this experience in and to see what risks pay off and what risks do not pay off as a whole. So keep in mind, guys, Buffalo's defense going in the 8th round here. This is the one downside to drafting through Yahoo, doing mock drafts through Yahoo, is in terms of teams that have gone to auto pick, they will select defenses rather quickly. And, you know, drafting through ESPN, they don't do that, for example. And, you know, I wish it was a little bit different, but that's okay. So I know I just went on a tangent about drafting a QB, but I'm going to go with a receiver here. And I'm going to go with Devonta Smith. And I think that I'm going to be able to land Aaron Rodgers in the 9th round. Okay, so we'll see what happens. I'm happy with Aaron Rodgers as my QB1. You know, let me know in the comments if you guys are not confident with Aaron Rodgers as a QB1. I don't mind, okay? And then if I really feel like I need to, I can go out and maybe get a guy in the late round with a little bit of upside, maybe like a Tua, maybe a guy with not so much upside, but who could still help this roster, like a Jameis Winston, or Ryan Tannehill, or a Carson Wentz. I've got those guys just outside my top 15 moving into the season. But Derek Carr sitting here is really tempting as well. I mean, really, really tempting. I like Carr and I like Rodgers. It's hard to say, man. Let's see, 4,800 passing yards. I mean, just 23 to 14 touchdowns, where Rodgers 37 to 4. Less passing yards. He loses Devontae Adams. Let me know in the comments, guys. Overall, would you guys go Aaron Rodgers or would you go Derek Carr? I'm going to go Aaron Rodgers tonight. All right. Wow, and it is taking kickers quite quickly. See, that's the only downside of drafting through Yahoo. With ESPN, it waits a couple more rounds to go kickers and defense. So we'll put a little asterisk by tonight's mock draft. But it is good to know if you guys do draft through Yahoo and conduct, you know, your leagues through Yahoo, that if you are planning on doing mock drafts through Yahoo, you're going to probably see some kickers and defenses drafted a little bit earlier than you might like. And like I said, man, if you guys want to see realistic mock drafts from the 1st round all the way through the entire draft, make sure you join our Discord down below to get updates and our mock draft invites for our subscriber mock drafts. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel to get as many updates as possible as well, and hit the notification bell. That way you guys never miss any uploads or streams. And we'd love to have you guys in some of those future subscriber mock drafts. While you're at it, man, check out all the links down below. We got all kinds of stuff going on. Instagram, merch, TikTok, all kinds of things, man. So go check us out on whatever platform you guys do prefer. And wow, kickers going off the board. We're going to put an asterisk here because I'll tell you guys one thing. I'm going to take a second QB here just because I feel like this team needs it. And we're going to draft Derek Carr. That's going to leave us with 3 more selections. So we've gotten a little bit away from our strategy of bouncing between the running back and the receiver position. So now what we need to do is revert back to the running back position and just take a later round guy who we have some faith in. I mean, I like Darrell Henderson, McKissick, Cook, Madison, Dameon Pierce, Tyler Algier. I'm going to go James Cook here and just go for a little bit of an upside flyer type selection overall, and we'll move forward from that. Looking at the receiving room, we got Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf. Let's see here. Hollywood Brown, Devonta Smith. So we only have 4 receivers, so I would like to get another receiver. And then we'll either end this with a tight end or a running back. I might go running back, though. I mean, we got Henry, Connor, A.J. Dillon, and James Cook. But let's go ahead. We're on the clock next. Let's take a look at receiver. I mean, I like Chris Olave quite a bit. I like Tyler Boyd quite a bit. And I like Tim Patrick. But the guy that stands out to me right now is Christian Kirk, just because I do believe he will be that #1 target overall for Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I'm going to go Christian Kirk here because I do think he could see wide receiver 1 type value. And then, like I said, we're either going to end this thing out with a running back. For me, it's Dameon Pierce all day long or Tyler Algier. If I did go tight end here, it's no doubt. It's Hunter Henry. I mean, the 3 guys I've got queued up here. Other tight ends I like in this late tier, Robert Tonyan and Noah Fant, probably the 2 guys that stand out to me. So, I mean, I think Dawson Knox, realistically, coming out of a 12-man draft would be fine. Then you could potentially look for someone on the waivers if you needed to. So, ooh, it's tough, man. It's tough because I love Pierce. I'm going to go Hunter Henry because Yahoo does let you punt a kicker or defensive position, or excuse me, defensive team. And I think I could still land Tyler Algier here and then finish out with either a kicker or defense, then just theoretically, you know, stream a defense or just pick up a kicker before our week 1 matchups. So I think that's the best way to build this roster overall, and we'll just finish out that way. Like I said, so there comes a point with this strategy where, you know, you're going to start your draft bouncing between running back and receiver. Keep an eye on QBs and tight ends, but then towards the end of the draft, you might kind of bounce between you know, different positions just based on what your roster needs overall. So for me, Tyler Algier is someone who I think in his rookie season could step up and be a true running back 1. So I just don't want to pass up that value. Other guys I like right now, Tyler Boyd and Tim Patrick, as well as Kendrick Bourne. Those are some of my really late round receivers that I really like. I mean, Christian Watson, MVS, Sky Moore, even DJ Chark, Van Jefferson. There's plenty of good receivers. I mean, it's just such a deep position overall. But let's take Algier to finish out that running back room. And you know what? Just for the sake of mock drafting, you know, let's just skip a kicker in defense. Why not? I mean, we don't need to talk about kickers and defense tonight. We do plenty of that here. But let's just draft Tyler Boyd. Let's get the best skill position guys available. And, you know, realistically, like I said, guys, with all these different kickers and defenses going so early, you would not be able to stack up these many players. But, you know, for the sake of tonight's mock draft and mock drafting through the Yahoo platform, let's just go ahead. Let's stack up at the receiver and running back position to add a couple guys that I like that I wouldn't mind talking about at the end of things as we wrap things up. And there you guys go. Another 2022 Fantasy Football Mock Draft in the books. Like I said, guys, if you did enjoy today's content, hit that like button down below. Drop any comments, questions, concerns pertaining to the 2022 Fantasy Football season down below. And, of course, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Come join the Catch family. All right, so at QB, we've got Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr. We got to put a little bit of an asterisk there because we did see a lot of defensive teams, and kickers drafted before we drafted Carr, but we landed 2 QBs. Tyreek Hill, Metcalf lead the receiving room, but we landed Hollywood Brown, Devonta Smith, Christian Kirk, and Tyler Boyd. So a really good receiving room for a 12-man team, in my opinion. Running back, we got Henry, Connor, A.J. Dillon, James Cook as a late-round value, and Tyler Algier as a late-round value. So 2 rookie running backs with some nice upside overall, in my personal opinion. I think James Cook is going to be a nice pass-catching option for Josh Allen, and I think Tyler Algier could truly be an RB1 for the Atlanta Falcons. At tight end, we got Dawson Knox and Hunter Henry. I'm extremely happy with that tight end room. So overall, I think this is a good team with a lot of good running backs, a lot of good receivers. We went double QB and double tight end. Now, don't forget, guys, like I said, you know, there are a couple things as tonight's draft went on that I said, you know, we went this direction, we could have gone this direction, right? So if we had gone with Jalen Hurts over Hollywood Brown, then we probably turn out with a little bit of more upside overall at the QB position. We still could have landed Devonta Smith in the 8th and Hunter Renfrow in the 9th and still had a stacked receiver room overall, right? And outside of that, that's really probably the only thing I would have potentially changed from this draft. Outside of that little asterisk, like I said, we still landed 2 QBs in Rodgers and Carr to kind of, help bolster each other. But at the same time, we saw a lot of kickers and a lot of defensive teams drafted early. So overall, guys, like I said, man, if you guys want to join one of our future subscriber mock drafts, please make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel and hop on Discord. That'll get you guys the best updates of when we are drafting. We would love to have you guys draft in a competitive, realistic mock draft from rounds 1 all the way through to the end of the draft. So if you guys enjoyed today's content, hit that like button on the way out, hit that subscribe button. If you're new, drop any comments, questions, concerns pertaining to the 2022 fantasy football season down below. And that'll do it for today's mock draft. With that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on The Catch.